Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Jack Reynolds, and I'll be helping to moderate. I'd like to introduce Ian Gramenz, Senior Client Performance Manager at VinSolutions, and Todd Gross, Client Performance Manager at Dealer.com. Today, Ian and Todd will be walking through best practices for identifying and taking advantage of digital retailing leads by pairing VinSolutions and Accelerate My Deal. A few housekeeping items before we get started. All attendees have been muted, but if you do have questions throughout the session, please put them in the GoTo console on the right-hand side of your screen. At the end of the presentation, we'll take 10 or so minutes for questions. Additionally, we will send a recording of today's webinar to all attendees once we conclude. Ian and Todd, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jack. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending. So I'm Todd Gross. I'm here with Ian Gramenz, and we're going to take you through unlocking your digital retail leads. We're going to show you how VinSolutions and Accelerate My Deal work together so you can maximize your digital online showroom business. If you were joined us in the last part of this webinar series, you heard Drew talk about branding, digital retailer branding, and how important that is. So we're going to take that to the next level today, kind of uncover some best practices on how to engage with the digital retailing customer and how to use these tools to the best of your advantage. Then a little sidebar here. So if you continue to join us in the future, next time we're going to take it to another level. So we're pretty excited about what we're going to share today. Just to give you a little background on myself, I've been with Cox Digital Retailing for 5.5 years. So I've been with Accelerate My Deal since its inception, and of course prior to that. So I've conducted numerous live digital retailing workshops nationwide. A lot of the feedback that you're going to hear today, a lot of the information you're going to hear today is for feedback from those webinars. We're talking to internet managers and GSMs and GMs about what's working and what's not working. So prior to that, I spent many years in the retail end of our business. So I'm excited to be here with you today. Ian, can you give us a little background on yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Todd said, my name is Ian Gramenz. I'm a senior client performance manager with VinSolutions. I've been here for 4.5 years almost, and before that, I was at a dealership for 8.5 years. So I've really taken a deep dive into the digital retailing aspect of the business from a Vin performance side aspect. So that is why I'm here today. But I will give it back to Todd. He's going to start us with finding and what is the difference in digital retailing from other leads. So Todd, started us off.
Excellent. Thanks, Ian. So pretty excited to be here today. So kind of give you everybody an overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to maximize your business, right? Your digital retailing success, because your website is your online showroom. And so there's a few things we're going to talk about. We're going to start off with identifying the digital retailing customers. I think we'll all agree that a digital retailing customer is a lower down the funnel than your typical internet lead. So we're going to talk about the differences, and I think it's important. I think you'll agree with me that identifying those customers allows us to address those customers in a better manner. So we're going to talk about leveraging best practices, best responses, how to get to know your digital retailing customer. Because the thing I like about the DR customer is that if you read what they're saying, they're telling you how to sell them a car. So it's pretty cool. We're going to dive into that shortly. Then we're going to work a deal. So we're going to show you how to do a complete deal negotiation online between Accelerate and VinSolutions. And then we're going to wrap up with some proactive uses. How you can use this proactively and turn your regular shoppers into digital retailing customers. So the first part we're going to start off with is, again, identifying your digital retailing customer. So we know who they are when they're coming in. We're going to show you how to easily recognize them. Before we do that, though, I'd be remiss if I didn't spend a little bit of time kind of pulling back the curtain, if you will, on a digital retailing customer, because this is not your typical Jack Frost 555-1212. Here's my email. What's your best price? Lead. This is a deal. This is somebody that's taken the time to submit a deal. And of course, depending on what survey you read, they've spent 13, 16, 18 hours online, all the third-party sites, whether that's cars.com or Edmunds or Auto Trader or Kelley Blue Book. They spent all this time on third-party sites researching the car they want. And then now they're in your website, your digital showroom, building a deal. So it's really important to understand where they've come from and what they've done to get to the point they're at, because their greatest fear, I'm telling you, is that whoever's responding to them is not reading what they put forth. So we're going to dig deeper into that, but I just want to spend a little time again just calling out the digital retailing deals, because your typical form fill customer is just going to give you, just looking for general information, just the basic information. But these people that are coming in through your digital retailing, they're submitting you deals, not leads, deals. So it's real important that we understand going forward that these customers are in the write-up phase of the sales process. And you probably get tired of me saying this in the next 20 minutes, but they are in the write-up phase of the sales process. Just so important to remember, because they're want to talk about a deal. Okay, so the other important thing to remember is where they're coming from. When you receive a digital retailing deal, understand that it may not just be from your website. It may come from Auto Trader. It may come from Kelley Blue Book, because they have the digital retailing on those sites too. So Ian's going to show us how to identify these customers, how you can tell a digital retailing customer, and B, where they came from. So Ian, can you give us a live view of that?
I would love to do that. So I'm going to share this slide just real quickly. This is what we're going to talk about. So I'll dive into Vin in just a moment, but we're going to discuss the banner itself. And we really took into consideration the aspect of keeping the deal quick and clean when we rolled this into VinSolutions. We'll discuss deduping and the updates in the banner. So I'm going to dive into Vin. We're going to do a live demo of an account that I made. So this is VinSolutions. I have already searched my name, so that aspect of it is done. And this is my customer dashboard on the right. So we're all familiar with this screen, I'm sure. But what you may not be familiar with, and it's unique to Accelerate deals, is that we dedupe these leads as they come in. So part of that means that we've added this banner right here at the top. And this banner really does pull over all of the information the customer has completed, either in its entirety at completion or step by step. So why is that important? The first part, I'm sure all of you have had complaints at some point when it comes to credit apps, right? Credit apps are a part of the Accelerate process. And all the time we hear grumblings that the credit has come in and it's created a duplicate lead, or it created a brand new lead and it attached a new salesperson on it. So that creates, conflict sometimes between the sales reps. So with Accelerate, that no longer happens. It actually just updates the banner and then it announces an alert to the salesperson or the manager on the lead itself. So what that would look like is that it comes in as Accelerate, you get this banner, you open it, and this is everything that the customer has completed up until they submitted the lead. So it may be everything at once, it may be step by step. So you'll notice you've got the payment, the terms. Of course, I said I had great credit, so I'm at 5.49. I actually offered more for the car than the MSRP was, which may be a case right now with inventory shortages, right? So we all are experiencing that, so just keep that in mind. That is customizable. I got my cash down, I got my taxes and fees. But what you'll notice on the left-hand side is the offer activity. So when I submitted this lead, all I did was the financing, which would be that main portion, and then I submitted the trade on my 19 Honda Accord. So what that does is submits the lead. Now, if I go back as a customer and I go to add vehicle protection or I complete the credit application, what we do inside VinSolutions is now we update this banner, i.e. deduping. We will now turn this blue so you know it's done, but we'll also send an alert to you and attach a note in the notes and history section of the lead. So no more does the sales rep have to now sift through 5 or 6 different leads to get the whole picture of what's going on inside VinSolutions. Notes and history, communication, sometimes we email from one lead and then the customer replies, now it's on another. So with Accelerate specific, everything lives on the one Accelerate lead per car deal. So the next one comes in, now you've got 2 Accelerate, one for the previously sold and now one for the new one. So that's identifying the customer inside Vin and just some perks of why the banner is so important and why deduping the lead really does change the game across digital retailing. So now that you know how to find the lead in VinSolutions and where to look, Todd's going to walk us through on best responses and how you should communicate with these customers once they've submitted a lead to you. So Todd, I'll give it back to you, and then you can take us through that.
Excellent, thanks, Ian. So yeah, so that makes it easy to recognize the lead when it comes in. So thanks for showing that live. So now what we want to talk about is we want to talk about knowing your digital retailing customer. So and best practices. So we're going to just jump right in here and talk about recognizing what you see. So we talked about how to identify the DR customer, but I want to revisit this deal review that Ian was showing you. So what I like about this deal review is it gives you all the information you need to work a car deal. And that's what we all want to do, right? We get leads in every day, but we want to work car deals from them, right? So this gives you all the information. And again, I've said it before, it tells you how to sell them. So what I like about this view, Ian touched on the offer activity, is the benefit that you have on the digital retailing deals submitted is you can sit back and look and take time and formulate a response and a game plan, if you will. And so if you that offer activity, it's telling you what they've done, but it's also telling you what they still need to do so you can guide the customer through the sale. So look at the information. That's the first most important step in properly responding to these customers, is using the information that they're sharing with you. So we're looking at the bigger deal now, and you look at every aspect, because all this is, keep in mind, this is a write-up. So I always tell people, pretend that the customer is sitting right across from you. That's how you want to speak to that customer, because this is basically a write-up. So they're telling you what payment they want to be at. And the cool thing about it is this customer right here, this example right here, they're at 377. You don't have to worry if they're comfortable with 400, right? So it's telling you a lot of information on how to structure a deal for them. So you can look at their credit score that they've chosen, how much cash down, if they've selected any incentives, and you can look at what they've submitted versus what they still need to do. I always like to call out the incentives, because incentives are our best friend, right? They help the deal, but they don't hurt the gross. And so you can see if they have not clicked on the incentives, now you can view those incentives and, hey, do you qualify for this? Are you military, maybe first responder, college grad, whatever incentives the OEM's putting forward on this. So read all the details of the deal, because it's spelled out right there. And that excites me about what I look at this new deal review. In fact, I've mentioned that I've been with this product since its inception, and I can say that of all the things that I've seen come down the line of the improvements of the product, this was probably one of the most exciting changes that I saw happen, is because, again, it's clear, it's not in a box form, you don't have, it's just really easy to communicate and read. So we can talk about templates, we can talk about proper responses, and every dealership's going to do it different. So what I'm going to do, instead of showing you how to respond, I'm going to give you a checklist. And again, keep in mind, this comes from years of talking with different dealerships in different areas, different sizes, about the do's and the don'ts and what they do best and what needs improvement. And so if you will construct your digital retailing response with this checklist, you'll be successful. You'll make more deals with the digital retailing tool. So first on the checklist is sell the experience and the time savings. I can't say this enough, because a lot of people are coming in because they want to save time. And so I always say, sell the experience. Congratulations on choosing our preferred purchase program, whatever you choose to name your digital retailing experience, but sell the experience. It's no different than when you go into a restaurant, you take a little time to look over the menu, the server comes to take your order, you say, tell them what you want, and they look at you and they go, oh, good choice. Makes you feel good, right? you and I know they're both working their tip at this point, but it's okay because I may have been tossing back and forth between two items. I choose this one. My server tells me I made a good choice. I feel good about my choice, right? Same psychology here with the digital retailing customer. Congratulate them on choosing to come in through your digital showroom via the digital retailing process, all right? And tell them how much time you're going to save. You're going to make it easy. You're going to help them save time. Second on the checklist is we've already touched on a little bit, and that's use the information that they're sharing with you to validate their offer. So why is that important? It's important because remember I told you earlier, the biggest fear of the digital retailing customer is the deal that they're submitting is not being read. They're just thinking somebody's going to call them up and say, yeah, well, when do you want to come down? We've got the car. So they want to make sure that you're reading everything they've submitted. So if you repeat in your first part of your email back to that customer, you repeat their deal, the down payment, just like you're reading a pencil to them, right? I see this is what you want to do. You validated their offer, right? So you validated that you've read what they're just gonna have a sigh of relief. They're just really gonna be, oh yeah, okay, good. They're gonna feel good about the person they're dealing with right now. Okay. Third item is if you provide counter offers, I always say provide choices. And here's why I say that. It's no different than the AB pencil we've known for years in this business. So if you'll counter offer the customer, if you're going to counter offer the customer, give them a choice. Change the down payment, change the term, change something in the deal structure so they have an AB option, right? Because I'll tell you, if you do that, the customer's more likely to focus on the two choices you've given them than their initial offer, right? It's the old AB pencil. Just because you're digital doesn't mean that the same philosophies don't work, right? So, and then list the next steps they need to take. That's important. Remember, I've told you about the activity, the deal activity on the left-hand side. It shows you what they still need to do. So walk the people through the deal. Say, hey, I see that we still need to fill out a credit application. I want to invite you to click on your deal and to take you back and fill out the credit application. I see that you haven't set up a test drive. Would you like to do that at this point? But walk them through the next steps, because all you're doing, you're working the deal. So it's no different than when you have a customer sitting in your showroom floor across from you and you're telling them what they need to do next to take this car home. So walk them through the deal. Use that deal information, and it's so important that we do that. So above all, the last thing I want to say on this is give the customer a choice on whether they want to complete the deal online or whether they want to come in to the dealership. So just in the ending sentence of your email, just give them a choice. Say, hey, do you want to continue this online or do you want to come in and look at the car first? And let them make that choice, right? It's back to you sitting down at the restaurant and choosing off the menu, right? Let them make that choice so they can feel good about the direction that this negotiation is going. So before we send the email, so you've got your body of your email typed, and Ian's going to show us a little bit here in VinSolutions how you can make templates, but you've got the body of the email typed. Now, the question we have to answer is, does the customer want to open this email? Now, I can't see everybody. You can see me, but I can't see everybody. How many, people get more email than they want to get, right? From people they don't even know, right? And so when you have to understand, when the customer's looking at this email, it's so important. There's three parts of this that has to be paid attention to. That's the sender, the subject line, and the email body. We've talked about the email body, but let's talk about the sender a little bit. I've got two examples up on the screen, wrong way to do it and the right way to do it. So if you look at the left-hand email, it's from Jason Navarro. Now, again, take your dealership hat off right now and put on your customer cap. You've spent all this time submitting a deal, and now you see on your phone or on your email come through, Jason Navarro, thanks for connecting with us. Don't know who that is. Can't tell you how many emails I got that are bogus that say thank you for this, thank you for that, right? So I don't know who Jason Navarro is, but look at the right-hand side. I know who Robillard Honda is. Oh, and I know about that deal on my 2020 CRV that I made an offer on. I'm looking forward to that email. I've been waiting for that response. And so make sure that the sender is dealership, and then let them know on your subject line that it's about their deal, that you're addressing their deal that they sent in. Okay, they're waiting on it, and then they're gonna want to open it. Okay, so Ian, I'm gonna hand the screen back to you. Can you kind of?
We're going to do a poll real quick, and then we're going to have Jack throw that up.
I blew that. I'm sorry, Jack. I apologize. I forgot we have a poll. So we have a poll question. If Jack, you can put that up. What the poll question basically is do you have separate team that handles your digital retailing leads? So we'll give everybody a few to respond.
All right, looks like we've got 45% answering yes and 55% answering no.
Yeah, so that looked like it was a close race. It was a close race, but so before Ian jumps in, I want to ask a question. So does everybody understand why you have a separate team? I hope that's a conclusion we're drawing today, is why you need a separate team to handle this. And Ian's going to build on that right now. Thank you, Ian.
No, absolutely. So it sounds like we're almost 50-50. And so it's really important to, I think, discuss why we need a separate team. And so we've found that some of our best digital retailing stores who've had the most success really have embraced the ability inside VinSolutions to, one, assign the lead to a certain individual or team. And then also, once you've assigned that, right, what's the cadence of the follow-up? So Todd, you talked about, best responses, but now who should make them and in what order do we do those in? So the first one, who should make them? When I say dealers have had the best results, it really is because digital retailing isn't just an internet lead, right? It's kind of a combination hybrid lead of internet and showroom. So typically what we would see is that the showroom person really is great at handling walk-ins and customer face-to-face, but maybe not so good on the internet aspect. But then the vice versa can be said, that the BDC or sometimes the internet team may not have the best luck at a customer facing situation, but they're great behind the computer. So if we can find a team member who really can be a hybrid role and can play kind of both aspects, right? That's where we need to do it, because you have to play an internet to a degree, but then it quickly turns into kind of a showroom aspect. The only difference being that it's an online showroom, but it shouldn't be treated any differently, like Todd said, compared to an in-person showroom. So how do we do that inside VinSolutions? It's honestly very simple. You guys have access to this as the dealer. So to do that, you just go to settings, Island CRM, and the first step would be lead assignment under sales. This is where we're going to pick the team, right? So you'll notice that I've created a rule. And to do that, I just added a new rule. I labeled it Accelerate. And then I scroll down to lead source. I would pick all the lead sources that have Accelerate in the title. So just keep in mind, depending on where it came from, if it was AutoTrader, your website, it won't necessarily have to say dealer.com or KBB. Make sure you pick anything that's Accelerate. And then at the very, very bottom, who gets these leads? And this is where we individually pick the team. Or if I want to say, I just want Ryan from outside sales, I can click just Ryan and I'll save that rule. And now he would get those. It's important to note though, that on the lead assignment page, this is kind of like a filter. So the most specific needs to be on top. Otherwise it's going to go right past it and then it won't work the way it's designed. So I would challenge you, if you aren't using teams, to give that really good consideration. If you think it's something that you would benefit from as a dealer working digital retailing, I would get with your VIN performance manager and really iron that out with him or her, and then we can measure those results. And if you're one of the dealers that said yes, that you do it, I would encourage you to keep doing it. If it's not working, we can always make those changes, right? This isn't a permanent fix. We definitely have the ability to change on a dime. So now that we've decided who's going to respond, what order do they respond in, right? So again, settings, ILM, CRM, but now we're going to hover down to sales and service processes. And this is really where the customization can be overwhelming, but I have complete confidence in everyone who's watching today. But if you're nervous about it, the VinSolutions Performance Manager is definitely there to help out. But you just open up the new internet sales lead, and you can see that I've already created a custom rule. And I did that kind of like you do with lead assignment. You just create the rule, name it, what lead sources get that rule, and then you would hit save. And once you've got it, now you just are adding events. We add the cadence. I want the text immediately, the phone call, the email, all of which are tailored, right, to address the lead and where the customer is at, much rather than us trying to get the customer to where we're at. It's all about meeting them. Sometimes they've gone further than what we would initially expect them to have done. So now we're pointing them backwards, and we may end up killing the deal unintentionally. So just keep that in mind as we're designing these processes. You know, we can put notes in, but obviously we can put templates in the email as well. And this way, you know that the team is saying the first thing the same all the time, right? Plenty of dealers pencil their first pencil dealership wise the same. Every sales manager does at least the first one the same to avoid any conflicts. And then yes, we do, you know, juggle it a little bit depending on the circumstance, but it really shouldn't be any different when it comes to digital retailing. It should be the same across the board. And then based off that first initial response and where the customer's been, now where do we go? I would recommend, and this is absolutely just a thought process for me, you don't have to do it, but I would encourage you to do it. And that's creating just a generic task, you know, every 2 or 3 days, just to remind the sales rep or the team member to go back and really dive into that lead. Did they send an update? You know, is it the same from when you first emailed? Did you ask for the credit app and now they filled out the credit app so we can skip the next couple, right? Now we can, again, jump forward to where the customer is rather than dragging our feet and pulling them backwards. So this is really a big benefit inside VinSolutions, and just another way that best practice would be to really handle Accelerate leads much differently than any other internet lead, because really they're not. It's an online showroom. So once you've done that, right, we've communicated with the customer, now they're in the building, or maybe they're still at home and we need to desk the deal. It's really easy, and we're gonna walk through that really quick. I'm gonna pull up my name and my profile again. And the cool thing is we kept the same attitude, right, with Accelerate. It's all about saving time, and how can we now save the dealer time? The customer's done their portion to save themselves time, but it doesn't do us any good if then we didn't help you guys save time. So keep in mind that this is a demo account, so it's gonna look a little bit different than what you're probably used to seeing if you've got Accelerate. But we'll talk about what these buttons that you'll see in a second are gonna do. So inside the Accelerate banner, you would scroll down. And instead of seeing Accelerate My Deal Showroom or Close My Deals, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, you would notice a Copy to Desking button. So once you would do that, you would hit that button, it would open up desking simultaneously. And at that point, it's pulling all of the numbers from that Accelerate banner into the desking profile inside VinSolutions desking. So you'll see that the price came over, my trade came over. You would need to ACV it. That obviously isn't done inside Accelerate because that's a dealer number. The taxes pulled over. My down payment of $250 is right there, and that's my deal. So I went ahead and selected it for you. My add-ons all add up. My service contract and the banner for $10.85. My gap insurance for $5.99. All my process and doc fees, and then the government fee. So we're literally just a few cents off. The banner was $6.19 even. Then desking's at $619.23. So it's just vital, right, to you guys being successful in Accelerate. We have to move quick with these deals. So the integration that we have inside the desking tool really allows you to desk as many as possible, as quickly as possible, So not only does the bottom line increase, but now the number of deals you can do in a day increases, which just adds up to the overall, profitability of Accelerate My Deal. And then just quickly, you can preview it. This is our printing option. If you're in the store, great, no big deal. We can print it and they can go on and sign it, right? And these are all customizable, by the way. This is just a generic one in the demo account. The cool thing about desking preview now, though, is that if it's Accelerate, good chance, right? The customer's not even in the showroom yet. We can now email or text if they're opted in for texting, and we can email this worksheet as a PDF to the customer. So it's not just going to be a bunch of text lines that say this is what it is. It really is an image of the worksheet. And the cool thing about doing it this way is that a lot of sales reps don't have access to desking for good reason. We don't want them to make changes. We don't want them to accidentally send something to the customer and now you have to backtrack as a sales manager. So if you print, email, or text this worksheet, it will save a copy link on the notes and history. It would just be a regular note with a link to it. So now if I call Todd up and I say, hey, Todd, we were working that deal. Your manager sent me over the numbers, but I can't remember what the down payment was. Todd quickly just clicks the link. There's your worksheet for desking. He says, hey, Ian, it was $250. And I say, we're good to go, right? And now we can move on with the deal. So that's desking a Accelerate My Deal lead inside VinSolutions. Very quick, very efficient, extremely easy, and then move on to the next deal. So quickly, we're going to discuss, using Accelerate My Deal proactively. There's a lot of things that we can do inside Accelerate and inside VinSolutions. So I'll show you this slide real quick, and then we'll dive into it on the Vin side. And it really is being proactive to move customers down the funnel, either while you're there or maybe while you're not at work, right? Maybe it's an overnight lead. So keep in mind some things as we do this. It has to be an in-stock unit, meaning that there has to be a VDP on the website, a link that goes to that car, has to have its own individual page that Accelerate lives on. We'll generate the deal inside the customer dashboard. I'll show you that in a minute. And then think outside the box. How can we use this link to make it make sense for our store and to really push it down the driveway, right? So we'll dive back into Vin and I'll show you that. So we've got this. This is my profile. Let's assume for a minute that this is not Accelerate lead. It can be Carfax. It could be a previous walk-in. As long as the vehicle is in stock and you have a zip code, because we need to calculate taxes inside Accelerate, right? You'll come down and keep in mind demo account again. You won't see a launch digital deal, but you will see copy link. And so what that does is it generates a shopping link right there. And so if I copy this and I paste it into my browser, it will take the customer straight to that vehicle on the dealer's website, and it will open up Accelerate My Deal. So some practical uses for this, right? Why is this a good feature and how can it help you? One, if you're leaving at 6, this happened even during COVID, dealers left early or they just weren't there at all. If you leave at 6, let's say, and the lead comes in at 5:50, you could at this point potentially, if there's an email address and or a phone number, right, we could text it to them as long as you've got texting inside Vin. I copy that link, I send it over to Todd while I'm at home resting from a long day. And before I come the next day, Todd could be doing all the preliminary work, right? So he started off as a high funnel Carfax customer, and now he's a low funnel. He's submitted his trade-in value. We just have to confirm it. Maybe he's done the credit app. He's selected his financing as far as, saying that I've got good, bad, or decent credit. We've maybe gone through the vehicle protection and it's done the taxes for you. So overnight, while you were resting, your customer has now gone from a high funnel customer to low. And all you have to do is come the next morning, look at the new banner, update desking if it needs updated, and then shoot that over to the customer for the proposal and let them sign it. Another way to do it is really subprime. We're still asking for credit apps on subprime, and that makes complete sense. I think we can all agree on that. But sometimes that conversation can be a little uncomfortable. So we can use Accelerate for that, right? Part of Accelerate is using the credit app portion of it. And what we've found with a lot of subprime stores that use Accelerate is they've had great success in the customer just going ahead and filling out the credit application. And that way you guys now know, right? And if they start off on an okay car, but then the credit comes in, it's as easy as just changing the vehicle and the VIN and then desking it and sending it back. But this way we avoid the uncomfortable conversation of having to have a credit app based off of potentially bad credit, and then just potentially ruining that relationship with the customer. So those are just two out of the box ideas that you can use, and we can definitely work with you on the VinSolutions side with your performance manager to dive into that. And if you have any questions, just reach out to him or her, and then you'll have my name at the end of this. I'm more than happy to help. But where are we going, right? And in true Cox Automotive fashion, we always want to move forward. So I'll show you really quickly kind of what we're working on and where we're going with Accelerate My Deal. So part of that, and you see it today, would be the Accelerate My Deal functionality, and that is the digital retailing. What is in pilot right now would be the showroom app. So the cool thing about that is that I no longer need to generate a link. I could have Todd come in as a walk-in, and that's where you'll see create and launch digital deal. So I would pull up the AMD showroom portion of that. It really does pull this up. It's the exact same experience. We intentionally kept it the same. That way the customer is used to the workflow, but so are you as a dealer. That way there's no confusion. And then we just work the deal. Think of all the possibilities that opens, right? I don't have to leave the desk. I can work the deal with the customer, get the preliminary numbers together, and then submit it to the desk. All the while, they submit it back to me, and I show the customer. I've never left. They have not been on their cell phone, searching other car dealerships, which I'm sure we've all witnessed before, because we've engaged them the entire process. We can now test drive and submit the deal at the same time. Todd's driving the pilot, I'm in the back seat, and I've got Accelerate Showroom on the VinConnect mobile app. So the cool thing about that is now it's the same user experience, right? I'm used to it from the desktop. I'll just work the deal, and then I'll submit it to the desk manager while we're driving. So I get back to the showroom, numbers are done, and now let's look at it. So keep that in mind, and it also lets you pick up where the customer left off. If Todd was gonna do the Accelerate deal and he stopped at trade, Todd shows up, I open this up, and now we pick up at the credit app, we pick up at the vehicle protection if there is any, and then those aspects of it as well, and then we submit it off. The next thing that's coming down the road will be Close My Deals. That's in beta. We've got some work to do on that, but it really will be a cool way to desk an Accelerate deal and see kind of a back and forth offer. I submit the offer to Todd, he can counter or not and submit it back, and you'll be able to see both deals side by side. So what's happened versus where were we? So that's what's coming in the Accelerate My Deal aspect of VinSolutions integrations and digital retailing. So I'm going to give it back to Todd. He is going to do a recap of what we've talked about today, and then we'll join in for some Q&A.
Excellent. Thanks, Ian. That was really good stuff. Actually, that was my my favorite part, was working a deal. So I think we can all agree with that, right? So before we go into the recap, the takeaway, I just want to have two addendum items here. Number one, if you have any questions, we're going to stick around for some Q&A afterwards, but if time does not permit for you and you have to bounce, if you have any questions going down the road, get with your performance manager, whether that's a DDC performance manager or VinSolutions performance manager. They can help you kind of dig deeper into what we discussed here today. So the other thing that we didn't have a chance to talk about, but I want to bring it up, and again, your performance manager can show you how to do this, but you have two great tools at your disposal for mining trades, for mining cars to buy for your used car lot, if you will, right? So we all know how valuable pre-owned inventory is right now. It's at a premium, right? So there's two ways to do this with each tool and in sync with each other, where you can actually find cars to buy. So just want to throw that out there as an addendum, because I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up, because we didn't have time to discuss that. So let's kind of just quickly take a look at what we've talked about today. We've talked about how the deal is clearly displayed. The digital retail deal gives you all the information you know to make a car deal with this customer. We've talked about how VinSolutions takes any updates. So if the customer comes in after their initial deal and fills out a credit application, requests a test drive, maybe puts in some finance items, it's going to update and it's going to silo into the original lead for you. So we've shown you how it populates in VinDesking and it makes it easy and more efficient to desk a deal when they're used in combination with each other. And we've talked about best practices for responses, for maximizing your deals with your digital retailing customer and how important that is. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. I know your time's valuable. Thank you for taking it out. And I'll turn it back over to Jack, and Ian and I will hang out for some questions.
Yeah, thank you both. So before we get into the questions, I want to remind everybody watching, in case you did join late, you can enter your questions in the GoToWebinar console on the right-hand side of your screen. We have had a few come in already. So if you guys are ready, I'll feed those over to you. First one here, do we have trade value visibility through Vin?
I'll take that one. You do. So part of that, can you shoot me over the screen, Todd?
Absolutely.
You do have visibility inside VinSolutions of what the trade value would be, but right now, just to be upfront about it, you do have to do a little bit of clicking, but we are aware of the headache that causes. So we're working on it, and it's nearly there, and it'll be much easier, and you'll see it in the banner. But right now, to see that trade, you either need to look at the trade info screen, which would then show you the value that the customer saw inside KBB, or you can also go into the lead received, which then opens up the ADF on the left-hand side, and within this information, you would find the trade value. So those are the two places right now that you can find the trade value of that, but eventually, sooner than later, it will be in that banner as well.
Fantastic, thanks Ian. Next one here, this looks like it would be for Todd. Do you know if stores that have digital retailing solutions in place are seeing more leads that turn into deals than stores that do not?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, and the short answer is yes. So we've discussed that they're being bottom of the funnel people, and it's just I think where people complicate digital retailing is because it's online, and they forget that you're just working a deal just like you are the customer on the showroom floor, right? So when you're coming off a demo drive, what's the next thing you want to do? You want to write somebody up, right? So when the customer's coming in, and Ian did a great job of showing how to use it, VinSolutions proactively, but when the customer's coming in, as let's say a traditional lead, a non-digital retailing lead, how we can turn that into a digital retailing lead, and all of a sudden, all right, let me expand on this a little bit, because let's use Car Gurus for an example, right? A lot of people use Car Gurus, right? And Car Gurus understand that customer, most of them never make it to your website. They're on Car Guru's website because that's their business model, right? They want you to sell the car and then they'll bill you for the sale. So that's their business model. So what do we want to do? We want to invite them into our ecosystem, right? Into our website. So you can do that using this proactively. And so that's the long answer. So short answer, yes, we do see that. And there's a couple ways to do it.
All right, thanks, Todd. Next one here. Can we negotiate a digital retailing deal with a customer through Vin?
So short answer right now, no. But that's what's coming, right? So that would be part of the Close My Deals. So that's in beta right now. We've got some work to do on that, but that would be part of that negotiation. So I would desk the deal. I would send it to Todd through a link or a text. Todd can see those numbers. If I've changed them, maybe I didn't change them, but if I did, then he now can counter, send that back to me, and that just goes back and forth till we get to the final set. So right now, no, but we are working on it in the Close My Deal future integration.
Fantastic. Next one here, are the fields online required for the customer? So every field, are they all required?
Not sure I understand what you mean by required. The customer, you have the ability to show what the customer sees as a first pencil, So, and then the customer would work through the deal, but at the end, they have the option of whether to submit that deal or not. So again, trying to mirror the showroom experience as much as we can. When the customer comes off the demo drive, they sit down, they make a decision whether they want to make an offer or not, or if they just want to look at numbers.
Todd, I can clarify a little bit for you here. So I think the question was about, does the customer have to enter something into every field, such as their name, contact info? Do they have the option to leave that kind of thing blank?
Well, so no, thank you for clarifying that. So they're required to submit a deal. They're required their name and email address is required. Now you can make the phone number mandatory if you want. We started out with not being mandatory and actually, make it optional. But if the customer wants to schedule a test drive, phone number automatically becomes optional at that point. But mandatory at that point. But no, so basically they're required their name and their email address, and of course the deal they're building to send.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Am I able to change my digital retailing settings on the fly to keep it adjusted with market conditions? The example they give is price or default credit scores.
Yeah, great question, because it's not like we have market changing conditions, right, in the last couple of years. I mean, haven't even noticed it change, but yeah, so no, great question and perfect. Perfect question for this time. Yeah, absolutely. So you can get with your digital retailing performance manager, website performance manager, and they can help you dial everything in. That's what one of my favorite parts about the tool is you're controlling what the customer sees as the first pencil. So you're selecting what credit tier they see initially, because when the customer comes in initially, they're seeing what you have set for them to see. You're setting the guardrails, so the customer has total control. They're driving down the lane of the digital retailing deal, but you're setting the guardrails, so you can determine what rates to show them, what credit tiers to show them. You can control what terms to show them, and that's lease or purchase. You pick the miles on a lease, you pick the terms on the lease, you pick any markup that you want. So yeah, so absolutely, yeah. So we can tweak as we go.
I'm going to piggyback on that real quick, Todd. I would also just add to that sometimes the VIN performance manager may talk to someone different than a DR, DDC, or website, representative performance manager in Cox's case. So in that instance where we see, the link, right, and you're like, well, why did they change the price? We pull those settings from dealer.com. So part of the integration with Acceler, My Deal, and digital retailing VinSolutions is the performance management team. So I would also, never hesitate that if you see something, but you're on a call with VinSolutions, don't not tell them. Let them know, and then we'll talk in the back end, and we'll all three get together for a call, and we'll get it hammered out. So just keep that in mind. There's two avenues to get that route, and we'll be more than helpful from both angles.
Great, thank you both. We're coming into the top of the hour here, so I think we should probably go ahead and start wrapping up today's webinar. Thank you for an informative session, and I certainly hope everybody else found today helpful. As always, we appreciate your attendance and encourage you to reach out to our team if you do have additional questions. Ian and Todd, any closing thoughts?
Sell more cars, digital retailing. Make it quick for the customer and quick for you.
So yeah, and listen, understand these are tools. These are tools in your tool belt to help you generate more business, generate more deals, generate more gross. It's like any other tool out in the garage. If it's used properly, it's effective. If it's not used properly, it's not going to be effective. But when you get good at using these tools together, it creates so many efficiencies. Not only are you making it easy for the customer to buy a car, you're making it easy for you and your staff to sell cars.
All right, well, thank you both again, and thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.
Thanks everyone.